And so long story short, I learned my job by just trial and error, just doing things myself, failing a lot, which by the way is exactly the reason why we're doing those workshops. I learned my job on the internet and in workshops, and I just think it's fair that it's my time to give back a little bit. And we like to call that the best burger in town. We like to say we deliver best burger in town, which means it's still very reasonable price, but the cost part, like the value of what you're getting for this price is very good.
Okay, Raphael, thank you so much for coming to here. How are you, Raphael?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. Good to see you.
Yeah. So the reason why I invited this special guest, actually, I would say sensei, my sensei, designer sensei, Raphael. Because of I attended his workshop. Actually, his company nowthen did workshop, landing page using Framer, right? It was amazing, and many people participated. So we had to bring extra chair because of the people wanted to join. Me too. Yeah, I love it. So and I had many questions. So okay, let's talk about yourself. What do you do in Tokyo?
Thank you. What do I do in Tokyo? I live in Tokyo. My life is here. But I also co-founded a design studio called Nowthen, as you mentioned. And you interview my co-founder on a previous episode. And we're a design studio that specializes in helping startups, especially with three things. So building websites, designing product, and also creating very strong brands. That's what we do. And yeah.
Thank you so much. If I remember correctly, your co-founder Apolline's background is branding and strategy. She is a specialist. How about you? What is your background, Raphael?
Yes, thank you. Funny enough, my background is also brand strategy. My first job was brand strategist, but that was more than 10 years ago when I was working in France in advertising agencies. But then I transitioned into design, especially what we call product design. But before this, I did a bunch of different things called service design, or I was a little bit in innovation strategy as well. But most recently, I think you would identify myself as a product designer or UX UI designer.
And at the workshop, you taught us good things. So the difference between graphic designer and UX designer, it's totally different. And then your explanation was so clear. So could you please share about this?
I don't know if I can be as clear now as I was in the workshop. Well, actually, it's definitely different, but it's also very similar. I think design generally is the same thing in a sense, whether you're designing a car, a software, or a poster. Design is design. It's about taking an idea and making it real through an intentional process. So there are a lot of similarities between all different kinds of design, but there are also some very strong differences. Designing a car, designing a software, and designing a poster requires different skills because the medium and the object you're designing is very different. To go back to your specific question, the difference between, I would say, UX UI, which is about designing software, and graphic design, which is about designing static images, I think, is exactly this, is that software is dynamic when I would say posters or images are static in a sense. And by that I mean that when you're a graphic designer and you design, say, an Instagram post or a poster, you control how people are going to see it. Everybody's going to see the same poster or the same Instagram post. However, when you're designing a software, you have different dynamic components. For example, you're not necessarily sure on which screen size people are going to be seeing this. That's one element of dynamism. But we're also designing something that is very interactive. So people input in the software and the software outputs to them, and designing that interaction makes UX UI design quite different from graphic design, for example.
Thank you, Raphael. So you used to be a strategist in France, and then how did you transfer a specialist of UX designer?
That was a long time ago. I'm a bit older than I look. I'm kidding. No, absolutely. So I did have a little bit of training in I would say, graphic design when I was doing my studies in university. So I did have a little bit of skills that were transferring. But basically, when I was working in brand strategy and I was a strategist, digital was kind of exploding. Like basically, the App Store was coming out, and every brand wanted to build an app, and nobody really knew how to do this. And at the time, there wasn't much formal education necessarily to become a digital designer or a UX UI designer. And so long story short, I learned my job by just trial and error, just doing things myself, failing a lot and learning from it. And also through reading and watching content on the internet and attending workshops and stuff like this. Which, by the way, is exactly the reason why we're doing those workshops. I learned my job on the internet and in workshops, and I just think it's fair that it's my time to give back a little bit, which is why at nowthen we're organizing workshops like the one you attended, and also we're trying to share our insights and knowledge online as much as we can.
I love that. So I have a question. So in this, at least maybe 5 years, like right before pandemic, industry, we started to design using Figma. It's San Francisco software, and started to like boom. I would say like 90% of designer we are using Figma, right? In the YouTube, there are tons of tutorial how to make UI design by Figma, but your workshop didn't use even Figma. From there, only using Framer.
Yeah, thank you. So Framer is a design software that has been created by people in the Netherlands, actually. Yeah, it's a European company. As far as I know, actually. Please do fact check this before we publish. And yes, it's become very popular with designers across the world. And what makes it special is that it's really made for creating websites. And so what it is it's a no-code website builder, but that is made for designers. So I think most designers are like me. We don't code, or we don't code really well. Usually we work with developers, with coders. And what Framer allows us to do is basically to publish our designs online with just the press of a button. It does require a little bit of understanding of how the web works and basic idea of how websites are made. I think it helps, but basically without writing any line of code, you can create very stunning websites that look like the design that you envisioned. Now, as to why we are hosting this workshop, I think part of it is what I explained, is that we're using Framer every day, we get tremendous value out of it, and we're really happy to share our knowledge and get more people excited about it.
I see. Thank you. And if I remember correctly, your co-founder, Aprin, gave us great word. So designing, so as a startup founder, we can try super basic design using good software like Framer. This is kind of like homemade cooking. And if we have budget, we want to go to like a Michelin chef restaurant, right? Same. So we can ask to design agency like nowthen. And then we can get like a special chef's great website or software. This is a great expression. I like it.
Yeah, do you want me to expand a bit on this?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think that the metaphor of that is when someone needs something to be designed, let's say they need a new website or they need maybe a new logo or something like this. You've got a variety of options, basically from very quick and cheap ones to very expensive, custom and fancy one. What I think a tool like Framer allows us to do, and a lot of what the technology in the design industry allows us to do, is to get you very good deliverable, very good outcomes for a cheaper and cheaper price. That, to be very honest, thanks to tools like Framer, I think we're able to make very, I would say, expensive looking websites for quite affordable price. And I think that's where the magic really is. And we like to call that the best burger in town, which best burger in town. So if on one end you have Kombini Bento, and on the other hand you have very Michelin star quality restaurant, we like to say we deliver best burger in town, which means it's still very reasonable price, but the cost part, like the value of what you're getting for this price, is very good.
Thank you. Okay, let's reflect your workshop. How was it?
No, honestly, I think everybody had a good time and could learn. I mean, I don't know. You tell us. How did it go?
Yeah, it was great. So I remember you gave us good explanation. 20 and 80. Please share about it.
Yeah, that's one of the principles that we have at nowthen when we're working with startups. It's, I mean, the 20-80 principle, which means that 20% of the effort usually gets you 80% of the way. So, for example, when we're talking about building a landing page, you want it basically to do the work of converting people. So visitors who come to your landing page, you want them to subscribe or to purchase your product or so on. And basically what we always say is everybody is talking about few marginal conversion points improvement or like a lot of fancy techniques to try and improve your landing page. What we focus on is doing the basics really well so that it takes you 80% of the way. And we really believe that for startup, this is what they need. Which is also why designing for startups and designing for bigger companies can be quite different. Because I think when you're a designer in a bigger organization, let's say a bank or maybe a really big tech company, you really are after the last 20%. And the game is very different when we're working with young companies, basically. We try to really get them to do the basics really well. nowthen, we organize a workshop every month almost, or every other month. Not all of them are about Framer, but we're currently in talk with Framer to organize the next one possibly in a couple months. So please join. Yeah.
As a founder, and here is Google for Startup, there are many global people come to here, Japan. So I want to know, and many audience also want to know, why did you come to Japan and why did you establish your agency in Japan?
Yeah, I mean, of course, when you're a Gaikokujin living in Japan and running a business, that question comes up very often. I don't have a really good answer, to be honest. I mean, I came to Japan 10 years ago at the end of 2014, and it was just after I had been working in France for a little while, and I think I just needed a break. I just wanted to travel, and Japan is as far as you can go from France, basically. And so I came here with easy visa, like a working holiday visa, and I started freelancing a little bit, and freelance turned into a job, and 10 years later, I'm here.
Really? Wow.
I think it's a very common story. Yeah. So what brought me to Japan is, I say, a little bit of chance. What kept me in Japan is both the quality of life here, but also the culture and also the network that I've built. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do you have your designer friends or community in here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, interestingly, the biggest part of my career has been in Japan. By now, of course. So I think my professional network is bigger in Japan than it is in France. I'm still in touch with design community in France, obviously. But yeah, I think most of our network, whether it's in the startup community or in the design community, is in Tokyo. There's quite a vibrant scene, especially in the, I would say, international community here. It's quite of a tight network.
Thank you, Raphael. So, as a foreigner founder who is working in Japan almost a decade, so do you have pain point as a foreigner founder? Because of the reason why I do this podcast and also in-person event almost every month is I heard many pain points from foreigner immigrant founders in here.
Honestly, we're quite fortunate, I think, at nowthen, maybe because we founded our company after working and living here for a little while. So I think a lot of the struggle that maybe Gaikokujin founders experience when they're coming to Japan to start a business is not something that we've necessarily had. I would say a lot of the basic struggles of being in Japan, we had overcome them already now. It's true that running a business in a country that isn't yours and in a country like Japan where the bureaucracy can be a bit heavy is of course a little bit of a headache sometimes. But my advice is always the same, is hire professionals. So we're working with really good accountants, really good lawyers, and really good people who help us with all of this, of course. Now I think another pain point that a lot of people are experiencing when coming to Japan is that the business culture can be quite different. And again, we're actually quite fortunate in that sense because when it comes to the work that we do, which is more driven by, I think, creativity, like the design industry is quite different, but also working directly with startup founders. We are not really subject to all of the Japanese corporate culture, if you know what I mean. We're really dealing with the basic startup culture, and I think a startup in Japan experiences a very similar problem than a startup in Europe or in the US, and the startup sort of work environment and work culture is quite universal. So of course here we've got language. Sometimes we just need to talk in Japanese with our customers. But I would say in terms of corporate culture, we're not so exposed to the dark side of the Japanese corporate culture.
Okay, so your company work with startups in here. And then there are many global people and global mindset of people. I see, makes sense. I see, thank you. Okay, lastly, tell us about your milestone or wish list in this year, whatever, like career, professional, and also your personal.
Personal as well?
Yeah.
All right, well, professionally first, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Well, I think at nowthen right now, what we're really trying to do is to scale what we're doing. I mean, scale is a big word. Of course, we don't have the same scaling trajectory as a software business. For example, we're a service business, so when we're scaling our capabilities, all things considered, but what we're trying to do right now is to basically reach 100 startups that we can support. And so that's the one number we're working towards. It's still going to take a little bit of time, but that's our next big milestone. Yeah. And personally, well, within this year, I mean, when I'm not designing, I'm usually surfing. So yeah, I surf a lot.
Really?
Yes, and I think one of my goals this year is to get into surfboard shaping. I really want to design and make my own boards and learn how to do this. So
want to design actual surfboard.
yeah, that's something I'm working towards.
How do you?
Well, I guess, you know, when you're a designer and you get into something, it's quite natural. Maybe. I don't know. So personally, that would be my personal challenge for this year. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. Okay, so if you are interested in making great landing page or product by this amazing Raphael and also co-founder Apolline, so please reach out nowthen's website and also Raphael's LinkedIn. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me. It was great chatting with you.
Of course. Bye bye. Thank you. The 3 key takeaways from a conversation with Raphael. Designing for impact. Supporting 100 startups from Tokyo. 1. From brand strategist to UX designer. Mastery thought through curiosity and community. Raphael started his career in brand strategy in France, but when apps started booming, he pivoted into UX UI design. All self-taught through trial and error, online resource, and workshops. Imagine this. A young creative in Paris realized brands need more than just ads. They need apps. So he dives into YouTube and community events, building his new skill set on pixel at a time. So he dives into YouTube and community events, building his new skill set one pixel at a time. Now he is paying it forward by hosting hands-on framer workshops in Tokyo, teaching founders how to turn ideas into landing page with no code. 2. Designing like a Michelin chef but affordable. The team at nowthen sees design like food. 1. Cheap creative convenience store bento. Quick template sites. 2. Best burgers in town. What nowthen offers? High quality, thoughtful design at a startup-friendly price. 3. Michelin-started meals. Premium custom-built design for larger budgets. With tool Framer, even small startups can create beautiful functional websites without engineers, or they can bring in design pros like Raphael for that chef-level touch. Okay, 3. Founding in Japan as a foreigner, navigating with community and clarity. Raphael came to Japan 10 years ago because of the lifestyle, creativity, and people. While some foreign founders struggle with Japan's bureaucracy and business culture, Raphael's advice is work with great lawyers and accountants. Focus on startups, not big corporate clients. Startup culture is universal. His company nowthen is a mission to support 100 startups. Thank you so much for watching our episode today. We hope this conversation will help your future and career. If you like it, please subscribe us and give you a like. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye bye. Ciao.